Okay, welcome back to Let's Play World of Warcraft with X2X. I uploaded my first set of videos, and I got everything done. I got some really good feedback from a couple of buddies of mine, and I'm gonna try to keep improving, and not say so much. So, today, what we have to do is we are gonna continue questing in Tirisfal Glades. We have a couple of quests. One, we have to kill some Scarlet Warriors, and another one we have to go pick some flowers. So we're gonna go up and we're gonna head to the Scarlet Palisade and kill us some Scarlet Crusade guys. Interestingly enough, the Scarlet Crusade was added, I think, in Vanilla WoW as a faction.
The fire burns. You strive.
Our headless horseman is yelling at us continuously. The headless horseman. The Scarlet Crusade was added in Vanilla as a sort of a faction that the Argent Crusade was fighting against. They're sort of fanatical religious people who were hell bent on defeating the scourge, or the sort of the undead. So they're sort of woven in around the Forsaken, seeing as how their monastery is up here in the corner. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on with our playthrough. You'll notice that this looks very similar to what we were doing in our last series, because essentially we don't have anything new. We'll get Rend at level 7, which is a neat little effect, and that'll help us kill a little bit faster. So we just picked up an item called a Scarlet Letter. This happens quite a bit. You'll be sort of doing a quest for somebody, and an item will drop. This item right here is to initiate a quest, as it says right there. It says this item begins a quest. So we're going to right click on that item, and it's going to give us a quest. You know, it's got the address and then all the information there, and then it wants us to find the prisoner in Scarlet Palisade. So again, we'll hit L, open up our quest log, shift click. This is most of this stuff is just review. As you play the game, you'll definitely get a feel for all the different hotkeys for opening all the different windows up, and yeah. So there's that. Okay. I was hoping these guys wouldn't be kicking my ass so much, but like, I mean, I guess they sort of. It's sort of better that things be challenging than they be too easy. Once we get our first talent at level 10, which is something we'll talk about when we get there, you'll see that the sort of the warrior class begins to really get strong once they get talents. So our best thing to do right now is just to make sure that we're able to start every fight with Victory Rush. Nice little critical hit there. Matt, I haven't talked about critical hits yet, and perhaps this is a good time to talk about critical hits. Critical hits for melee deal twice damage, and if you look in sort of our normal paper doll, if we extend it, we get a whole bunch of numbers here. There's lots of numbers here that are not so relevant to us. There's a section on resistances, which we can open and close. There's our defenses, our spell power, haste, all these kinds of things that relate to spells. Warriors don't cast spells. There's a ranged section for when we use a bow or a gun. There's a melee section, and melee section, general and attributes, is sort of the most important part of this area. And one thing we'll look at is we have a chance to critical hit here, which does extra damage. For melee, it does double damage. There are some ways to improve your critical hit multiplier, but basically it's just double damage. And so our current critical chance is 4.58%, which means 4.58% of the time we're going to land a critical hit, or a hit that deals double our normal damage. And that goes, as you can see, that big nice 26 pop up. That goes for our special attacks like Strike and Victory Rush, as well as our normal White Swings. Like that. Alright, so we're going to continue along killing our Scarlet Warriors, with Victory Rush helping us out, keeping our life total up, and There was a nice double critical hit. And there's we can actually improve our critical hit percentage chance with equipment. Later on in the game, we can get what's called critical strike rating. I fully intend to cover all of the base statistics and things like that as we get the items. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be able to cover all of it as we get the items. Some I may have to cover to prepare you guys for sort of later in the game. Anybody who plays World of Warcraft knows that I think pretty quick you start getting items that improve your statistics, and that's really one great way to see character progression in World of Warcraft is by you know, getting new rings, you know, a new shield, a new sword, you know, and a sort of a new face mask, and things like that really improve your character. Got to sort of watch Litchi here so she doesn't die. Maybe we'll do some cannibalizing. Nom, 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 nom. So I did notice a couple of things in my first videos that I did not necessarily incorrectly, but probably weren't as polished as they could be. I explained cannibalize, and then I just totally lacked to explain these abilities. And so I'm always constantly going to try to improve my commentary. You know, I'm sorry if it's a little bad early on. And I also, one of my friends told me that I was kind of stiff. I guess because he's used to hearing me. Ooh, victory rush saved our lives there. Maybe we might still die. So yeah, currently we're not doing too well on the taking multiple opponents. I hope this doesn't compromise the integrity of the playthrough, me dying, but I do take a death here and there. You know, it's sort of bound to happen to a player like me. By no means do I think I'm a bad player. I just sort of, you know, you get talking and then all of a sudden you've got two monsters on you and they're killing you. Later on that becomes increasingly more difficult as the warrior gets stronger, but early on I'm not really used to playing a vanilla playthrough either. I'm used to having, playing with my chips. I'm used to having heirlooms and, you know, being able to essentially just cheat my way through these early levels, so I'm sort of used to being able to completely ignore monsters, but this will give me an opportunity to talk about the rest of the sort of the melee, or melee if you prefer, statistics that we get in our nice little paper doll here. The first one is our damage range. This one gives us a couple neat readouts when we mouse over it. The first one is how much damage we're actually doing. So we're doing 20 to 25 per hit, and that's usually pretty close to what we actually hit for, but we have to remember that monsters also have armor. So this number will not always correspond to exactly how much you're whacking for. And there's it's green because the numbers are green because they're being modified. And the way we're being modified, I sort of touched on this earlier, but it might have been confusing, is because we're in battle stance, which is sort of our attack position or our stance that warriors get, it's actually increasing all damage we do by 5, and you can actually read that out right there and see, you know, how that's improving. It also gives us a number that is damage per second. That's literally how much damage we're doing divided by how much time it takes us to do that damage, which is it's a neat metric. It doesn't say that much later in the game when you're if you ever get to the sort of the level where you're raiding and stuff like that, it becomes quite important. We have the DPS number right here. We have our attack power, which is a function of our strength. I'll cover that later. We have our swing timer, which is 3.3 seconds. Basically, when we turn on our swing, that's how long we have to wait in between smacking him. We have haste, which we have none of, which essentially makes our swing timer faster or lower. We have our hit chance, which gives us our chance to miss monsters or to just not be able to hit them. You can see that it breaks it down by level, and the higher the level the thing we're fighting is, the harder it is for us to hit that. We have our critical chance, which we talked about before, and then we have expertise. And expertise is a little more complicated. It refers to negating your opponent's ability to dodge and parry you. All of that stuff I'll go into more detail later. I just thought I would cover it since we were running back from a corpse run, because I'm, you know, a silly guy and I died. I probably might invest in some health potions just as a no button, you know, so that doesn't happen too much. I guess I might be a little bit low to fight these guys. I don't think so. I mean, maybe I missed a quest. I don't think I did. Anyway, so we've killed everybody there is to kill here. we're gonna eat this girl's corpse, which might have been unnecessary. But now, I'm gonna guess that the prisoner is in this building here, just because the proximity of where the map is, and that's my good guess. Actually, this is new. This is something that they added. That her Lichie's animation when she pulls the map down, she actually like pulls out a map and she's looking at it. That'd be kind of interesting, especially for player versus player, because it sort of gives opponents an indication of if you're staring at the map or not. I find that interesting. Not a big player versus player myself. I like the pace and predictability of fighting computer-generated enemies over fighting enemies that are other players. Although there can be fun being had. I have done it before. It's not necessarily my cup of tea. And I don't think I'll cover player versus player in the scope of this Let's Play. If you're interested in player versus player in WoW, believe me, you need look no further than you know, typing WoW PvP into Google. There will be millions upon millions of searches, I'm sure. So we're gonna fight our way up to the top. Hopefully the prisoner's up at the top. Most of these quests, if you don't know them, will take a bit of exploration. That's part of WoW, being able to sort of enjoy the environment. You know, see the lanterns, you know, see the sort of the textures, and I mean the cartoony aspect of WoW may pull you out of the game, but I really like it. You know, some of the times when you play games, you notice that the textures are really sort of really garbagey, and even when we zoom into these ones, they don't look so bad. That was actually one of my main complaints about Dragon Age, was that I felt the textures in Dragon Age were pretty lacking. So there's our prisoner. We're just gonna have to kill this Scarlet Warrior, and hopefully I won't hit the buttons too loud. And one of the other things about coming up here is you have to look at the pretty. You know, sort of expert players and players like me tend to really ignore the environment that they're in, to just like, you know, because our end goal is to get to the highest level possible, so we tend to sort of just like, you know, ignore this beautiful world that they've constructed. And I'm really gonna try my best to sort of to not do that. You know, Tirisfal Glades is one of my very favorite zones.
What now?
So we'll go talk to our prisoner, and it's Lillian Voss. We have talked to Lillian Voss before, and actually Lillian Voss has a custom face. She has her own unique face. We can't actually be that face, which is kind of strange. So we'll tell her we're here to rescue her, and we'll say this. Again, I'm not going to read it out.
Victory for Sylvanas.
That's interesting. It's not giving us a... Oh, I see. Scripted event. So we have Scarlet Lieutenant Gebler here. I don't remember if I've done all these quests before. I think I haven't done some of them, so this will be new for me too. And he's going to talk to Lillian Voss. I'm just going to make that background easier for you to see, so it shows up a little bit better on YouTube, and you can read how they're talking to each other. That was awesome.
What will you require?
This is something that it's burning up. This is something that they added with Cataclysm. Was these quests were quite plain. Sort of go kill 10 of these, go get me 10 of these. Was very They didn't have quests with a lot of flavor and sort of a lot of text like is down here. The game was pretty straightforward, because they had figured that most people playing this game had already sort of done this part of World of Warcraft, and that they weren't really interested in. They weren't particularly these. I'm just gonna ignore these guys. They'll leash eventually. Sort of. They will no longer be following us. Leashing is ran into a wall.